Alright, in today's video, I'm going to be matchmaking a BMF title fight for every weight class. This is just a random idea I had, and I'm not going to focus too much on the analytical X's and O's, outside foot battle type shit of the matchup, more just focusing on the matchmaking itself. And if you for some reason don't know what the BMF belt is, it's basically a belt used to showcase fun, fan favorite, exciting fighters that put on exciting fights. The belt was first held by Jorge Masvidal, then Justin Gaethje, then Max Holloway, and now Charles Oliveira, who got his BMF belt in a not so BMF way, but you know. And while the belt doesn't have a set weight class, it's only been featured in the lightweight and welterweight division so far. So I thought it'd be cool to do some hypothetical matchups of BMF titles in the other weight classes. So let's go ahead and start with the flyweight division. For flyweight, you could go a lot of different ways, and I know a lot of people would like to use Pantoja or maybe Joshua Van, but I think a very fun BMF title fight at flyweight would be Manel Kape versus Kyoji Horiguchi. Manel Kape has 19 finishes in 22 fights at flyweight, and Kyoji Horiguchi has 21 finishes in 36 fights at flyweight. So both of these guys are flyweights that get finishes, and if you've seen them fight, I think the striking battle would be great. Bantamweight's kind of a scrap, honestly, because I pretty much have to do Peter Yan versus Merab. I mean, what do I do? Sean O'Malley versus Raoni Barcelos, or Corey Sandhagen versus Song Yadong. I mean, there's not a lot of great BMF matches, but I think Peter Yan and Merab is actually a good BMF fight. I think featherweight has a lot of potential for BMF fights, and I know a lot of people would like to include Volk, and you definitely could. Like, I'm not saying you can't include him, but I kind of want to keep him separated from this, and I think the first matchup that comes to mind is a rematch of Diego Lopez and John Silva. That fight is a perfect BMF fight. Besides them, there's actually not a lot of guys that stand out at featherweight. I mean, you could include Aljamain, but I don't really think he's a BMF style fighter. I think the next two names to me kind of need another knockout or another good performance to get a BMF title shot. At least one of them definitely does. And those two names are Kevin Vallejos and Aaron Pico. Really, any combination of those four guys in a BMF title fight would be fireworks. At lightweight, we obviously just had Max Holloway and Charles Oliveira, and I know the next obvious option would be Ilya, or maybe Justin Gaethje, who's a guy who's already fought for it. But I think a better matchup to me would be Benoit Saint-Denis versus Mateusz Gamrot. If you know ball, you know this fight would be like a fucking Spartan match, and it is a perfect BMF fight. Bro, at welterweight, I'm really cooking, and you could book this shit right now. Carlos Prates versus Kamaru Usman for the BMF belt would be an amazing fight. Carlos Prates has 22 finishes in 24 fights, and we obviously know what he brings to the table. And Kamaru Usman is the boogeyman at 170, so I think this is a perfect matchup. It's a very high-level striker versus a very high-level wrestler, and we could have a similar outcome to the Charles Oliveira and Max Holloway fight, but that's a risk I'm willing to take, because I think this as a 5-round fight is a war. Middleweight, again, is kind of a scrap, because looking at the top 10, the only really sensible matchup would be Khamzat versus Sean Strickland, but I think you could put the winner of them against Joe Pyfer, and that would be a very fun fight. Of course, if it's Khamzat, he'll probably just ragdoll him, but Pyfer looks solid on the ground. And if it's Sean Strickland, you know, they could do the man dance for 25 minutes. Light heavyweight is also pretty tough, honestly, and I kind of think we already had our BMF fight at light heavyweight with Yuri versus Khalil Roundtree. And I guess you could include Carlos Olberg in a BMF fight at light heavyweight. He's definitely not a BMF style fighter, but after what he did to Yuri, I'm just not ready for that yet, man. So I think the best matchup at light heavyweight would be Bogdan Guskov versus Paulo Costa. Paulo Costa is a fan favorite and a little bit up and down in his performances, but he's coming off a great one. And Guskov has 18 wins all by finish. And then for the heavyweight division, I mean, come on. Y'all knew I was going to do this. Josh Hokett is fighting somebody. I don't care who it is, but Josh Hokett is fighting somebody. You could claim recency bias and you wouldn't be completely wrong, but I don't care. After his most recent performance against Curtis Blades, I think he has clearly earned a shot at the BMF title at heavyweight, especially with how many sloppy heavyweight fights we have. And it's honestly a little bit frustrating because if Derek Lewis didn't just fall over and quit against Waldo Cortez Acosta, you hypothetically could have made the fight on the White House card a BMF fight. But since that's not an option, I think there are some obvious names like Alex Pereira, Tom Aspinall, Cyril Gahn if he beats Alex Pereira, Maybe Volkov or Waldo Cortez Acosta if one of them have a good performance. Sergey Pavlovich hasn't looked as much BMF in his most recent fights, but I think that would be a good name as well. But I think the fight to make for the BMF title at heavyweight is Josh Hokett versus Brando Pericic. Both of these guys have had short tenures in the UFC so far, but if you've watched their fights, you know this will be a banger. I even just said I thought Brando Pericic and Shamil Gaziev had a Timu Curtis Blades Josh Hokett fight, and I think this matchup would be very similar to those fights as well. This could easily be a top 10 heavyweight fight of all time, and y'all could get mad at me for saying that, but I think the writing's all on the wall. This is a perfect BMF fight and is a sure thing to be entertaining for as long as it goes. So those are my matchups for BMF title fights in every weight class. I did no preparation for this video. I literally got home, thought of the idea, sat down and recorded it, so if it's not perfectly ironed out or as high level as you would have liked it to be, I apologize, but I didn't want to take it too serious and more so just thought it was a fun idea. So let me know what y'all thought about the matchups, let me know if y'all thought I cooked, or let me know if that shit's ass, but either way, just let me know, and thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.
That's what I'm talking about. This shit means something to me, man.